we're very lucky that we've got a comrade from the Tudeh party of Iran to come and speak to us, Navid Shomali, and he's going to talk about the international significance of the revolution.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much, comrades, and thank you very much for inviting me to your Congress today and to this public meeting, which is an honor to be involved and to say a few words. This event is, in fact, now it's about 7th October Revolution, centenary of October Revolution that I've celebrated during the last 2 weeks, starting from an event, magnificent event in London on 28th, that your comrades, some of your comrades were there, and very well attended. 7 communist parties were involved in organizing it, and continued with an event in St. Petersburg where 103 communist parties were involved and in attendance. It was one of the most memorable events that I have attended in my, let's say, about half a century involvement in the movement. We were just to make you jealous. I was in Smolny, Paris, where Lenin also took charge of the revolutionary events on 7th of November, 6th and 7th of November. We went to Paris, where all the parties of the world were there. As I said, 103 communist parties were there from 77 countries, and this was magnificent. From Chinese Communist Party in one end to the European parties, the Communist Party of Greece, Communist Party of Portugal, Communist Party of Russian Federation towards the coast, and on. And significant issue in all this, in the 100th anniversary of the October Revolution, we had 103 parties, and there were parties who were knocking at the door wanting to join in, and we are saying to them, look, you have got to meet the conditions to come in. So in that celebration and in that event, 2 days of conference debating the significance of the October Revolution and concluding with a document, with an appeal, which all 103 parties agreed. This is in no way could be underestimated. That in the 21st century, after all what has happened, we had a document, 4-page document, which all parties supported, all parties put their signature on to say that how we wanted to take forward the movement, the communist movement, the project for socialist revolution, for construction of socialism in the world, based on the lessons of the October Revolution. Having gone through my introduction, I'm going to revert to my notes, which are prepared based on a text and that our party, the Tudeh party of Iran, believes signifies the October Revolution and what happened 100 years ago, and what issues in this revolution and in this event that 100 years later, I still stand by and we say that this was the event that shook the world. The October Revolution took place at the time of capitalist domination, during the disastrous First World War fought between the imperialist countries over the division of the world and its wealth, the period of suppression of progressive ideas, and at the time when the ghost of communism, according to Communist Manifesto, had begun to disturb the dreams of the leaders of the capitalist world. The October Revolution aimed to open the way to a society free of war, violence, and repression in one of Europe's largest and least developed countries. The victory of the October Revolution, brought about and led by Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks against the Tsarist Russia, marked a historic end to the claims that capitalism was eternal and showed to the oppressed people of the world that another world is possible. The victory of October Revolution also underlined the significance of Karl Marx's historic statement: the philosophers have thus far only interpreted the world. The point, however, is to change it. The victory of the October Revolution cannot be regarded as separate from the underpinnings of Marxism-Leninism ideology. As the innovative and creative successor of Marx and Engels, Lenin, by detailing the economic political nature of imperialism, arrived at the conclusion of the law of uneven growth of capitalist countries during the stage of imperialism. This law is one of Lenin's most important discoveries and played a fundamental role in the evolution of Marxism. Lenin's creative theoretical work encompasses diverse arenas. Indeed, the experiences and achievements of the October Revolution were influenced by the constructive and rigorous theoretical base, accordingly, as well as by Marxism in general. This is, of course, squarely contrary to the claims of those who try to exploit the collapse of socialism in Soviet Union and Eastern Europe and portray Leninism as somehow deviating from and being at odds with Marxism. Thus, Marxism-Leninism, the flagship of the thought and ideals of October Revolution, including its definition and explanation of the nature of imperialism, the economic crisis inherent in capitalist system, the unbalanced economic growth during the era of imperialism, and the theory of socialist revolution, has maintained its importance, scientific nature, and relevance. The 100th anniversary of the October Revolution should be celebrated as a milestone in human history, opening up the possibility of peace, progress, and emancipation the world over. The October Revolution gave impetus to the building of communist parties in all lands, and a new revolutionary internationalism was born. We, the parties, involved in celebrating the October Revolution, honor this tradition today. Our world is a very different place from that of 1917. Its dangers and complexities threaten the whole of humanity. However, comrades, many of the tasks we face today as communists are the same as those which faced the comrades and masses in 1917. Above all, the need to maintain and build revolutionary parties capable of analyzing, understanding, and giving leadership to the national and international issues facing the working class is something significant that we need to keep in mind. Dear comrades, the October Revolution took place in a country neighboring Iran, my homeland. It replaced Tsarist Russia with the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Following the triumph of the October Revolution, Iran became free from the threat of collapse, colonization, and loss of its national sovereignty and independence. The Iranian people saw in the USSR as their best sponsor and advocate for freedom and independence. Immediately after the October Revolution, the Soviet government announced the enslaving Treaty of 1907, which had divided Iran into two spheres of control for British and Russian governments. Lenin himself, in his declaration of 14th of December 1917, announced that the August 1907 agreement made between Britain and Tsarist Russia, with all its secret amendments concerning the division of Iran, was null and void. He stressed that any treaty that contradicts the national independence, territorial sovereignty, and freedom of the Iranian people was invalid and should be torn apart, and that they could no longer be referred to. The revolutionary government in Soviet Union also terminated all financial claims and colonial privileges of the Tsarist government of the Russia in Iran. Furthermore, the capitulation treaty, which applied to the legal and judicial affairs of the Russians living in Iran, was annulled by the new government. To this end, the Soviet government issued a declaration on 26th of June 1919 that listed all the benefits that Tsarist Russia had received from Iran, terminating them in their entirety, and then concluded, the Russian people believe that the 15 million strong nation of Iran will not perish, as they have a proud and heroic history which contains many personalities that the civilized world rightfully honor and respect. Such a nation will awake with a roar to tear apart the chains imposed by the evil oppressors, and will walk in the brotherly path of free and progressive nations toward a new, bright, creative, and prosperous humanity. Under the influence of the October Revolution, the national liberation movement in Iran, which were already campaigning for change, grew further and spread. Some leaders of this movement were already in contact with the Bolsheviks and involved in the smuggling and publication sent by Lenin and the exiled leadership to the Bolsheviks inside the country. Those comrades who have visited Marx Memorial Library on the second floor in the small kitchen, there is a map of when Lenin was based in London, 1902, 1903. All of them, the Iskra, and all of them, the papers produced were smuggled from there to some parts of Iran, from there were smuggled to Baku and to other centers, in order to make sure that all parts of the Soviet Union, Russia, received the publication and the instructions of the leadership. This was followed in 1920 and 1921 by armed uprising in Azerbaijan, Gilan, and Khorasan provinces in Iran. These popular insurrections included large masses of workers and peasants, as well as middle bourgeoisie. From these popular social movements and under the leadership of great revolutionary figures of that era, Haydar Amoglu was a member of the Bolshevik Party. He was an oil worker who was working in Baku, and he joined the Bolsheviks during that era. A significant part was that the revolution in Russia wasn't confined only to the Russian revolutionaries, but some of the revolutionaries who were working, who were in contact with them, also were recruited and were involved in the Russian Revolution, and subsequently went to their countries and started to organize the parties and the revolutionary movements in their areas. And to that effect, some of the leaders of the Communist Party of Iran, later Communist Party of Iran, which was created in 1920, were also joined the leadership of Comintern and subsequent structures for leading the international movement. The Communist Party engaged in a complex struggle for social, economic, political change that was attacked by the monarchical regime and was declared and banned under the constitution. The leadership of the party was arrested, imprisoned, and its leader, Dr. Taghi Arani, was murdered in prison in February 1940. But only 1 year later, when at the beginning of the Second World War, Iran, the Iranian monarchical regime, sided with the Germany, with the Nazis, the Soviet forces occupied Iran, and declared that we cannot allow a front, a Nazi front, operating from south of USSR. And that resulted in the opening of the prisons. That opening of the prisons meant that 53 leaders of the Communist Party also were released. And they were released in September 1941, and on 2nd of October 1941, the Tudeh Party of Iran. Today's party, the party that I represent, was set up. Because under the Constitution, the Communist Party was banned. No party with the ideology and the name of communism could exist in Iran. So, with advice and with consultation, the Tudeh Party of Iran as an anti-fascist party was created, was established by the communist leaders, and 2 years later it continued the success, the operation. Comrades, the historic legitimacy of our movement and its unbreakable link with the ideals and thought of the October Revolution, together with the deep-rooted nature of the workers' movement in our homeland, contributed significantly to the revolutionary movement growing struggle against the tyrannical regime and the victory of the revolution in 1979. The importance of the presence of the October Revolution's flag bearers, the Soviet Union, on the northern borders of our country, and the role it took in deterring any threat by imperialism to interfere in the internal affairs and against the revolution of our people is irrefutable. Dear comrade, we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the October Revolution. At a time when global capitalism is involved in a deep and wide-ranging economic crisis, the world of monopoly capitalism is in this second decade of the 21st century is a world blighted by inhuman and deepening inequality, in which hundreds of millions of people are deprived of the most basic human and democratic rights, and in which the shocking poverty of hundreds of millions of people, their marginalization, along with war and ever-continuing destruction of the environment, are seriously threatening the future of mankind. The reemergence of the racist and supremacist dogmas in Europe and the United States, a current that grew toward the two world wars and the killing of tens of millions of people during the 20th century, and the coming to power of such governments such as Donald Trump, that clearly promote racism and domination of the US imperialism over the world, should sound a serious warning to progressives everywhere. Comments. The existence of classes and class society is not an invention of communists, though it remains a terrible reality. The current crisis of the class-based system of global capitalism is a direct result of neoliberal policies that have been pursued over recent decades. David Harvey, the Marxist thinker, reached the conclusion that the speculative financial capital in the 1970s eventually got the upper hand over the productive capital, so that the primary thrust of economic activity became the price of shares in the stock market and not production. Financial interest, as Lenin put it, the power of accountants instead of engineers prevailed upon and dominated the ruling classes and elite. Neoliberalism has caused a change in the concept of social status. It has discarded all that remained of democracy and human rights. Persistently and relentlessly, it promotes and protects class supremacy and even a new kind of caste system in the world. Finally, the October Revolution stoked up the engine fire of hope for freedom, equality, social justice, peace, and socialism in the hearts of millions, hundreds of millions of toilers and oppressed people around the world. Today, the giant media trusts that promote the capitalist system are fiercely and relentlessly spreading lies against socialism, the October Revolution, and any kind of revolutionary uprising in general. These media roles portray the October Revolution, and in particularly the role of Lenin in leading the revolution, as a historic mistake, and in effect presented as something detrimental to the working class and the global struggle of workers. Despite all the achievements by USSR and other socialist countries in building socialism, today it is clear that this process was faced with flaws and weaknesses that, in combination with the massive, organized and crushing pressure of global imperialism, eventually led to the collapse of the socialist system in these countries in the final years of the 20th century. Critical and scientific evaluation of this significant historical experience, without any dogmatism, is the only way for the communist and working class movement and progressive forces of the world to develop a roadmap to build the future of human society. Ignoring the deficiencies, the bureaucratic structures that grew in those countries and in which over time replaced the creativity and a scientific approach to phenomena, which diminished the revolutionary characteristics of the ruling parties in these countries, cannot provide an effective means for our struggles and the struggle of the working class and its allies in fighting monopoly capitalism. The inhumane and unsustainable nature of global capitalism into the 21st century is clear for all to see, and humanity is longing for a better alternative, contrary to the claims of those who praise and promote this anti-human system and refer to it as representing the end of history. The very beginning of the Soviet Union and victory of October Revolution proved that another world is possible. And through the utilization of humanitarian principles, a different world based on equality, social justice, and peace can in fact be created on the ruins of capitalism. This is the essence of the October Revolution, and one we must not lose sight of, as the experience of the past millennia of human history has shown. The path of creating this new world is neither an easy one, nor one that can be followed without enormous effort and great sacrifice. What is clear is that the growing and insoluble crisis of global capitalism and its anti-human nature demands the historical necessity of creating a new system, loyal to the principles and ideals of that great October, and along with the overwhelming majority of human society, we continue in our struggle to create this new system, this new society, social society, while learning from the past experiences and through the correct and careful comprehension of the objective and subjective conditions of the 21st centuries in all our countries. Long live the great October Socialist Revolution, long live socialism, long live the international unity of commerce. Thank you.